So what is needed is going to depend on the individual circumstances of that building. I think the board of directors, generally speaking, are going to be very well placed to know what the demographic of their building is. Do they have an issue in relation to people not wearing masks? If they're aware of the fact there's an issue, then they can turn to address that. But if they don't have an issue, is there a need to really address the question in the first place if they have really good mask compliance?
Yeah, I mean, each condo building is going to be different. It's going to have different needs. You know, a building comprised mostly of older residents, you might have more of a need for masking in that situation. If the board becomes aware of an active case or outbreak, in that case, I think in particular, you definitely want to put a policy in place, at least for a temporary period. Generally speaking, condominium common areas are not, in Alberta, in Edmonton, they're not considered public places. Now that analysis may differ elsewhere depending on the specific wording of the provincial legislation and the municipal bylaws in place. But for Edmonton and for Alberta, generally speaking, condominium common areas are not public places, and owner-occupied units are not public places. So it's very difficult for a condo board to try and enforce provincial masking requirements for like indoor masking requirements, for example, in those areas. As we talked about before, a condo board, if they want to have something like that in place and they're not getting enough voluntary uptake, then they need to create their own policy and communicate that to owners before it comes into effect.
Yeah, completely agree. And it's a soft, it's not so much a hard legal answer, it's more of a soft, easy thing. But try and make it as easy to comply with that rule as possible. Again, buy boxes of disposable masks, leave them lying around common areas as much as possible. Let's not set people up to fail if you're aware of the fact that there's an issue.
Again, it's we're going to be looking for what's reasonable for that particular condo corporation in the circumstances, but it is up to the board to make those decisions based on its duty to control and manage and maintain the common property. So what's reasonable for one condo corporation might not be reasonable for another corporation, and that depends on a number of factors, looking at the type of people that live in the building, the physical layout of the building, how big is this exercise room that we're talking about in the first place, and how many people are actually using it at any one time for the most part. That, and I think, you know, how often do you clean those surfaces? How often do you have maintenance and janitorial staff in there, you know, wiping down surfaces and handles and maintaining that area of the common property in sufficiently, you know, sanitized state so that you're not creating a risk or an unnecessary risk for other users of that facility.